I don't know about you, but the Christmas dinner is probably my favourite thing about Christmas. Eating pigs in blankets, the stuffing, turkey and trimmings, whilst wearing a Christmas cracker paper hat just sounds so delightful. The British Christmas dinner is so quintessential, but did you know that turkey and all the trimmings are a more modern version than what our ancestors would have had? In this video, I'm delving into what was on the Christmas table in Great Britain, and it might surprise you with what I found out. We start in Sunderland in 1884, an industrial hub of coal mining and shipbuilding. Through looking at old newspaper articles, it seems that a range of meats were popular, not just turkey. J.R.H. Gilmore Butchers had secured an extraordinary stock of Christmas beef, mutton and dairy-fed pork, and intends to sell at ordinary prices. I'd love to know what those ordinary prices are compared with now. Geese was mentioned twice by R.J. Pike's Butchers and J. Whittaker and Son, both on High Street West, with some over 5 tonnes and at prices to suit the times. Turkey has become the must-have meat for a festive meal. However, it wasn't always the crown and platter on the Christmas table. Chicken was a luxury in the 1950s, with people either rearing the birds themselves or saving all year to get one from the butchers. The poor chickens would have had a wary look in their eyes towards the end of December, once they were fattened up in the yard. A questionable meat choice was an option in Britain where there was a shortage of meat after World War II: the pet rabbit. The pet rabbit was fed and fattened up in a hutch in the yard before Christmas. The Boys' Industrial School in Thomas Street, Sunderland had a hearty feast in 1884, where the inmates dined on Christmas beef. The school was established in 1850 as the Sunderland Industrial and Ragged School, with the children being taught sack making and to make and mend their own clothes. The industrial school accommodated up to 100 boys who were deemed to be in physical or moral danger rather than those that were convicted of any offence. After the beef came out, the plum pudding, and then to crown the dinner dessert consisting of oranges and nuts, supplied by Councillor W.S. Wilson, Mr. Binns of Fawcett Street and Mr. Clough. The gentleman addressed some encouragement and advice to the lads, who were then given a half-holiday. The Victorian perfect Dickensian Christmas was a bit of an illusion, with many people feeling like they couldn't celebrate the festivities with a joyous feeling as the previous year. I thought this excerpt from the Sunderland Echo and Shipping Gazette was particularly poignant considering the current living cost crisis, but it is heartwarming to know us Mackhams rally around anyone in need. Soup kitchens, bread distributions and parcels of clothing for our thrifty working class are not the kind of characteristics to make Christmas a happy one. However, commendable and praiseworthy such benefactions may be in times like these. Or how about a Christmas dinner aboard a ship in 1915? A sailor on the HMS Prince George commented on having roast pork, potatoes, cabbage and parsnips, as well as Christmas pudding that had been made by the messmates themselves. Sadly, they didn't tie the sides of the pudding cloth tight enough, so it was very soft and sloppy and spreading all over the table. When the sailors sat down to enjoy their festive feast, a big wave came along, washing everything off the table, covering everything in salt water. They were still determined though to have the pudding, taking the outside skin off and having a taste each. The next day, it seems the sailors tired of tasting the pudding, so proposed a funeral service for it. It was covered in crepe and thrown through a porthole, so that was the end of the Christmas pudding of 1915. After World War II, there was a turkey crisis at Christmas, with most wayside homes being without the traditional bird. Turkey and geese were in such poor supply and were so highly priced that dealers refused to handle them. According to this Sunderland Echo article from 1946, the Christmas dinner for Sunderland would have to come from the meat ration. To make the best out of the turkey shortage, people would use their 2-shilling ration of meat wisely. 1 shilling and 6pence worth would be fresh meat and 6pence worth of corned beef. A large proportion of the fresh ration would be pork, with very little English meat being available. The ration would be mainly imported, with a large proportion of lamb, and no English pork at all, as most home-fed pigs were used for bacon at the time. In December 1939, which was the first few months into World War II, people were thinking about how they were going to have their Christmas dinner, amid the threats of bombing and the start of food being scarce. A leg of lamb or a juicy breast of mutton was going to be the fare of the Christmas dinner, with beef and pork becoming increasingly scarce. But as the article says, still war or no war, and even if we have to have mutton for dinner, we shall all try to make it a Merry Christmas. Whilst most played by the rules so everyone could enjoy some festive food, there were poultry thieves stealing Christmas dinners. There were reports of people stealing poultry and also keeping poultry in backyards in towns, with chickens, turkey, geese and ducks being taken. The breeders of the traditional birds decided to cut out the final fattening days, preferring to kill their stock and put it into cold storage rather than run the risk of it having stolen. Retailers were also targeted and were advised to protect their birds from any break-ins. Over the years, the Christmas dinner has evolved and changed, but largely it's been a tradition to come together with loved ones to just enjoy company, and that we've made it through another year. Whether your dad was a keen gardener, so the garden was full of winter veggies for the dinner, to saving all year with the butchers and greengrocers in Grangetown to be able to afford something nice that you wouldn't buy at any part of the year. I hope you enjoyed this little snippet into some of the aspects of what Christmas dinner was like, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the festive videos I have coming up.